Hey guys, it's the Plum Dot here and welcome back to my channel for another speed build. This is actually a request build that I called the Loft House that I took on via the DNA request team over on the Sims forums. Now we don't just do Sims 3 builds, I've got some amazing teammates that pump out some epic Sims 4 builds, and we also take on pet requests and sim requests. So I will leave a link in the description to our team thread over on the forums in case anybody would like to check out my teammates' work or go and request a sim build or pet for your game. Now this build took me ages to film. I had about 7 hours of raw footage and about 24 clips to go through, and I have no idea why it took me so long, but for that particular reason I'm going to be splitting this into two separate parts. So part one is going to be laying down the exterior and also the interior areas, but we're just going to decorate the lower level today. And then part two is going to be decorating the loft bedroom, the art studio, and doing the landscaping. Now the brief for this build is actually quite cool. It's meant to be a modern eclectic bachelorette pad for a sim who likes red and her little meow meow. The requester also wanted pops of vibrant colors and then touches of the vintage feel. And so you can let me know down in the comments if I melded those styles together. It seems like a lot in a build, but I think it works really well. And at the end of it, we've got this sort of warehousey type loft. And another thing that the requester really wanted was a loft bedroom, but to have an open closet underneath. And I thought that was a really cool feature, because what girl wouldn't want a massive open closet in her bachelorette pad? So guys, I actually filmed this voiceover yesterday, and this is my first voiceover, so I went into it thinking that I wanted it to be perfect, but it was actually atrocious. Like, I over explained everything. I was like, oh, I'm putting in a fire escape now, and then I'm deleting the stair walls, and there's some railings, and it was literally the most boring thing I'd ever heard, and it really made me cringe. So I was like, I've got to do this over, because I went through everything step by step and nobody's got time to listen to that. But it actually reminds me of this time when I went on a bachelorette party in the States, and we went to a lap dance class. So there we are, a bunch of girls, and we have to give lap dances to each other, but we have to pretend like we're giving lap dances to our partners, and I was so awkward. Luckily, I got partnered with somebody I actually knew, but it still didn't make it any less awkward, and it was even weirder because she was pregnant at the time. But anyway, I literally explained everything that I was doing. Like, I didn't let the music speak for itself. I didn't let my movements speak for themselves. I literally was like, I'm going to shake my bum in your face. Do you like that? Oh, I'm taking off my shirt now. Do you find that sexy? And it was literally the most unsexy thing that I have ever done in my entire life. And it was just so awkward to do that, because nobody wants to hear you explaining what you're doing while you're giving a lap dance. I mean, I'm not a stripper, so I don't know, but I just would think that you wouldn't want to hear all that. Anyway, back to the build. I'm laying out the top floor at the moment, and it's the loft bedroom and the art studio, and you can see that I was playing with a little CFE, which can be an absolute pain in the ass sometimes. Like, I can't tell you how many times in the past I've rage quit while using that cheat. It can be a really cool feature, but if you get the walls warped, there's like no going back. You can't delete them to fix it, and you're like, what is going on? So I think I finally sort of got the cheat down, but I do have to remember to turn it off at times, and sometimes I forget and the walls just like go up into space, and I'm like, what in the world just happened? So I'm just finishing up the top floor laying it out and laying out the walls for the art studio, which actually is my favorite room in the build. So you will have to check that out in part 2. And that's really where the vibrant colors come into this house. For the main level, it's an open plan kitchen, living and dining area, and I really wanted to keep this part of the build quite elegant, so you will see black, white, and little pops of red. The only really vibrant colors come into the entryways, which is towards the end of the build. But I really like the color palette that I was given to work with, because black and white tend to go very well. So I'm just laying out the dining room and moving on to the living area. And you guys, this living area and those flipping chairs gave me so much trouble. Like, I don't know how many times I changed them all, but it could be a drinking game. Like, how many times does the plum dot change the colors? How many times does the plum dot change the sofa? It got to be ridiculous. And at one point towards the end of the I can't even talk, sorry. One point at the end of the build, I actually popped back into the living room after it's all done and changed the colors again. I literally couldn't leave it alone. And it makes me think that maybe I should start doing cast off screen, because it literally took me hours to figure out the living room and the colors and the chairs. So I'm just going through and I'm recoloring the dining area, and all the chairs do work except for the one that's near the window with the arches. And actually there's a funny story about those arches. So I do fully play test all of my builds, and I'll tell you a little bit about my playtest family that I use in a minute. But when I was playtesting, one of my Sims was trying to get outside, but they were in the closet area. So instead of walking sort of through the kitchen area and out the entryway, they walked through the arch that's in the closet area and just walked through the walls. Like the window wasn't even there. And I like did a double take. I was like, what in the world did she just do? Like, my testers are not ghosts, so they shouldn't be able to walk through walls. And I actually figured out that they treat it like the windows aren't even there. So I did end up blocking off all the lower level arches with landscaping, which you will see in part 2. But it was really, really funny, because I was like, oh my god, I've got a glitch. But I didn't. It was just because the arches were there. So like I said, I do fully playtest all of my builds, and I do get a lot of help from my tester family, because I have a photographer sim called Eric Miller, who you will see pop up in the build. His little handsome face will pop up on screen while I'm stealing some pictures from his inventory. And I've got 2 handy sims called Lang Price and A-Ray. And then I've got a painter called Quinn Miller, who's actually married to Eric Miller, and I named them the Quartet. And then recently I added another sim, and I can't actually remember her name, which is kind of sad, but she is my nectar maker, and we'll just blame it on her being drunk and she can't remember her own name, so I can't remember her name. But so they were the quartet, and then I added the 5th sim. So does that make them the quintet, or is it quints? What's it called when you have 5 people? I know you've got a trio and you've got a quartet, which is what they were, and then I don't know what 5 is. Let me know if you know what 5 is down in the comments, because I have not a clue. So anyway, back to the build. Here we are in this living room, and let me tell you, it changes several times. The patterns that are on the armchairs at the moment, they actually are what the sofa ends up being, and that is the final sofa that I do use. And it's funny because I did go to the dot pattern, but then I thought, oh no, I'll try out several thousand other patterns. But the dot pattern is staring me right in the face, and that's what I end up going with. But then I go back and change the chairs 20 million different times. It's absolutely ridiculous. So this is my first voiceover, like I said earlier in the voiceover. I'm so weird sometimes. So if I stumble and mess up, just bear with me. I'm hoping to get better. Practice makes perfect, doesn't it? So just stick with me and bear with my ums and my ahs and my sounds. I'm so weird. Sometimes I just make random sounds, and I don't even know what I'm talking about. But anyway, those are the final chairs that I do end up using, but they will change color, of course. And so I'm just going and putting on the wall covering, and that does change, but it doesn't change until part 2. And I really like sort of exposed brickwork. I think it gives like a really industrial loft type feel, and I would really love to live in a place like that. Like, I'm jealous of anybody who's got exposed brickwork in their house. Oh, and there's the little hottie Eric Miller helping me out, and I'm stealing some paintings from his inventory, not paintings, sorry, pictures from his inventory that he took. Now, all of my request builds are CC free, and you're probably thinking, what the heck, those pictures of Marilyn Monroe and Audrey Hepburn are not in game. What I did was I had some CC pictures and I laid them out on a wall, and then I just had Eric Miller take pictures of them with the photography skill that came with World Adventures. So you will see a lot of custom pictures and paintings that aren't in game, but they are not CC. Like I said, I did that with the photography skill that came with World Adventures, which is a really cool skill, and I think everybody should go use it because there is so much that you can do with that skill to make your builds look quite unique. So I'm just going into the living room yet again and cluttering up the place, and I absolutely love clutter, and this build is actually quite clutterless. That, like, I usually have something on every surface, but because it's sort of a modern type build, I wanted to keep things sort of clean and sleek, so I didn't clutter it up as much as I would have done. And so this is just the little desk area that I put in under the stairs. It is fully functioning. I did turn off the move on objects cheat, and I do build with that a lot, but I have to make sure that things will work, and I did play test it, of course, and it does work. So this build bounces around so incredibly much, and it's just because it's all in one open space. But I'm really sorry if it makes you a little bit sick, that going around in circles that quickly and bouncing from area to area, but it's just how it worked out with everything being all in sort of a not combined, but sort of a condensed space. And here we are briefly in the closet area, which I think turns out really well. I really love that armoire. I'm not sure which expansion pack it came from, but it's really, I think it's really sort of vintage looking. Maybe not, maybe it looks sort of old but I guess that's another word for vintage, isn't it? Anyway, I'm just sort of playing with the layout of it. I couldn't get it right to maximize the space because obviously I needed an armoire in there and I really wanted that one. So I placed everything down and then I moved it around as you saw, and then I went back to where everything originally was, which you'll find that I do this a lot in my builds. I usually lay something down, then I think, oh, I'm gonna try something different, maybe it'll look better this way, and I usually end up back where I started. So trust your gut instincts, kids. It's usually the best place to start. I don't even know what I'm saying. So just laying out some tables for the makeup and the perfume, but those tables do change. I do go with sort of a more vintagey, older type of table that I think works really well in the space. And here I am having trouble with colors and rugs. Surprise, surprise. Now I do end up going with this sort of octagon, or is it hexagon? I don't even know what that pattern is. I think it's a stop sign. Anyway, I end up going with that, connecting the rugs, and I think that looks quite good, even though you can see some spaces. I think it works really, really well, and they're not too noticeable. And I'm just laying down the shoe racks here because every closet has to have shoes. Although I wish that there was a bit more variety with the racks. I wish that there was like some boots. Oh my god, you guys. I just laid down these shirts, and when I recolor it, it's such an amazing pattern. So the sim, the Bachelorette that's going to be living here, is a cat lover. Here we go. So I thought I'd go into the themed patterns and I would put on cat themes, because I know that if I owned a cat, I would totally rock a cat shirt and just show that love that I have for my animal. So I thought that was really cute and just like a touch to her love of her cat. So we're just finishing off the closet area with some patterns, and I think in a moment I'm gonna boop to the front room just to change the pattern on the sofa very quickly. But I'm happy to report that that's how it stays. I don't think I recolor those at all. And we're just going through now and we're laying down some cat toys and the cat bowl. And then I'm moving back into the kitchen area to start with sort of the color, the clutter and the finishing touches. Now, I really, really love using the themed patterns, but if you look at the defaults, some of them are really, really ugly. So I tend to change the background to white and then have like one color for the pattern, and it really stands out and I really like how it looks. So I'm just cluttering up the kitchen area, and I just placed down some weeds. Well, they're not really weeds, but I sort of imagine, I don't know, what's it called when you put like the green grass into your shake? It's not grass, and it's, oh wait, no, it's wheatgrass. So I imagine the sim likes to get up in the morning and have like a wheatgrass shake and then go into the art studio and work and paint for the day. I don't know, as I'm building, I sort of make up stories for the sims that are going to be living in the house, and I absolutely love to do that. Does anybody else make up stories for the sims that live in their houses, or is that just me? Is it just me? Am I a weirdo? I don't know. Anyway, these venting pipes, are they pipes? Venting pipes that came with late night are my absolute favorite, and I think it really helps with sort of the industrial modern feel that you would get in a loft, and I really like how they turned out. But I think I did go a little bit overboard with them, because you'll see in a moment that I go back and add more in, and I will pop up upstairs to make sure that I'm not floating them randomly in the 2-story living area, because how awkward would that be? There I am just popping up, and here we go, adding some more. I don't know, do you guys think I went a little bit overboard with the venting, or is it cool, or what do you guys think? And I actually do continue this into the entryway, where you will see pops of vibrant color come in, because I just thought that was a nice touch to sort of, you walk through the front door, you have pops of vibrant color, and then you go into this elegant sort of black and white space with sort of subtle pops of red. And we're going to see momentarily Eric Miller make another appearance on my screen, because he's going to help me raise up some glass crystal bowls that I think came with Into the Future, but they are floor objects, so I had to raise them up with the mod debug enabler. So Eric Miller is going to help me with that, because he is also a handy sim. And we're just going to raise, oh, I made a mistake, I'm so sorry. So the crystals can go on the tables. It's the plant that I'm raising up that is a floor plant. So as you can see, Eric Miller's helping me with that, and at one point he raises the table, but we get there in the end. So I'm just finishing off the entryway, I'm going to plonk down a chair because after a hard day's work of running around the town, maybe you just walk into your front room and you just want to plop your ass down on a chair. I don't know. I mean, I would if I had a hard day's work. And so that's basically the entryway. It's quite small, but I like how it turned out. And we're just going to throw down a rug here. And really the last part of this build, which this part of the build, which was the absolute bane of my life, is the bathroom. Guys, I don't know how many times I changed the floors, I changed the walls. Like literally the easiest part of the bathroom was the tub, the shower, and the sinks and the toilet, obviously, because they were all basically white. But everything else I could not decide. And again, that's why it makes me think that maybe I should do my casting off camera. But I'm not really sure. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you guys like to see the creative process of going through several different patterns and different colors? Or would you rather just see the final product in the screenshots? But like I said, this area, this space, it gave me an absolute conniption fit. And even though I change it, you're going to see so many of the original things that I started with being the final product. It's ridiculous. And I think I start the cabinets off with a sort of mint green, but it didn't think it was vibrant enough, so I think I switched to yellow, and then I went for a dark purple, and this video ends with it being dark purple, but I changed it off screen, and the final product's like a sort of teal color that I really like, that really gave off the vibrancy of the space, because this is also a really small space, and it's the only bathroom in the build, so I wanted it to feel sort of vibrant but also cozy at the same time. And I'm starting to repeat myself, so I think I'm gonna go ahead and leave you here in the bathroom with all my color changes. But guys, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and leave me a comment down below in this description. And if you're not already subscribed to my channel, go ahead and hit that button. And don't forget to check back for part 2 of the build, where, like I said, we do the loft bedroom, art studio, and the landscaping. Don't be a plum stranger now, guys. Bye!